Well, a very good morning and welcome to the Pitz Alpine Glacier Trail, race 4 of the Salomon Golden Trail World Series. And we're set high in the Austrian Alps, in the heart of the Tyrolean Mountains. And an astonishing course. It's really tough. We were here last year. Course had to be shortened because of the weather conditions. Today, everything is given the okay, despite, David, a little bit of thunder overnight.
Yeah, it's been absolutely tipping down, but let's tell you about the season so far. We started in Spain with Zagama Scory Marathon in May. We then moved to Italy, Ledro Sky Trentino, shorter race, very technical. Race 3, we had that in Canada. You may have seen the highlights. We're going to talk about what happened there. A very, very fast race where the speedsters came through. And on to today, race number 4 here in Austria. But yeah, as you say, it's been raining already, and that's one of the concerns for our athletes, is that how wet is it going to be underfoot?
Yeah, and well, certainly it was wet overnight, but the temperatures are rising and hopefully it will dry out. We've got a long way to go in the season after this race. The Miyako Trail, that's the 20th of September. We head to the Great Wall of China on the 27th of September. And then the grand finale in Korea, October the 24th. All to play for, we hope, by the time we get there. A double header over the next 8 days, of course. We've got the Pitz Alpine Glacier Trail today, Sierra Zinal, world famous race next weekend, next Saturday. They don't have much time to recover, and as a result, 1 or 2 of the big names have decided not to race today.
And the questions are, if some of the runners who we know are going to be at Sierra Zinal next week are actually going to be giving their full effort today, or if they're just going to use this as a long training run, see what happens around them, and then decide whether it's worth committing their full energy to the course. But worth mentioning, your top 4 races count towards the end of the season, but let's see some of the action we've had already this season.
Well, the Québec Mega Trail taking place in the early part of July. And as you mentioned, David, it was a flatter course than normal. That really suited the Kenyans. And for once, they managed to get the better of the Moroccan Alazawi.
Yeah, it really was a race of 2 halves. We can see here Madalena and Caroline, both victors so far this season, neck and neck at the start. But unusually for one of our trail races, the second half was incredibly flat. The downhill was very shallow, and that meant it was down to raw pace. And we can see here, unusually, Elisine not in the mix for the finish. Him limping in 30 seconds behind off our podium, and Samuel Kiprotich winning a Golden Trail for the very first time. That's going to make a difference today on the tactics. Madalena Faria also running today, neck and neck with Caroline Kimitai at halfway, but once she hit that smoother trail, just flew away for them. She seems unstoppable right now.
So that was the action from Quebec. Yeah, fascinating race. Lazario was slightly surprised with his temperament in the closing stages, but he was up against it. The Kenyans going so well. There are the overall rankings. Floria leads 4.42, picking up loads of bonus points so far this season. Kimitai into Marie Neve, who had a great race out in Quebec, sitting in 3 ahead of Presser. And the bonus points up to 30 awarded for each race. The sprint, the climb, the descent, really making a big difference this year. In the men's, Alazawi leads a whopping 600 points. 4 races to count, remember, before the grand final. Kiriago, Bogdan Damian, one of those who's he's been on fire on the downhills. Be interesting to see if he can keep his runner successes going on the downhill section. And Kiprotich down in 4. Taylor Stack, who had a great podium finish in Zagama at the start of the season, is going well as well. He's in 5th and he starts today.
And it's worth noting that It's your top 4 races that count towards the final. 200 points for a win. And some of the athletes on our top 10 there have only raced once or twice so far this season. So while Elisine is leading, Madalena leading, it doesn't mean they're in pole position quite yet. But let's have a look at what today's course has for us. This starts with a very, very fast 5K, 6K, almost flat. We've got our sprint segment in there where they can win 10 points for being fastest through that. Then a very steep climb, 600 meters before they hit the lake. We're at altitude, remember, and then a super steep climb up to our peak and a technical descent. They'll have a little bit of flatter running before they drop down. This is the technical part that they'll be going through our segment before another 6K run in reverse of the first loop into our finish line.
So those flatter sections earlier on, the best sprinter, that comes early on, big decisions to be made. Do they go for it to get the bonus points, or do they conserve energy for the climb and then the flat section at the end? That first and final loop, 5 kilometers each, a park run, sandwiching what is a brutal climb here in the Glacier Trail.
And we saw last year that the start really made a big difference to the women's race. We're starting the women off first so that we can show their race in full. And here is our top 10. Therese Leboeuf, she's top 3 in Golden Trail before. A very experienced runner. Other people to point out here. Hannah Grober, new to the international scene this year, European trail champion. We're excited to see what she's got. And Ruth Gitonga, she's yet to really feature in the top 3 at the end of a race, but she has the talent to really upset our established names in today's race. A very, very fast runner. But in the middle here, you can see on the left there, it was Nermi Lang, last year's winner. In the shades was Marlon Osser, their teammates, their good friends. They're both very, very good technical runners. And so we'll expect to be picking up places if they're not at the front in the second half of our race. Ruth Gitonga, though, not on the front line there, but our series leader at the moment, Madalena Freire here from Romania. She's already won last year's series. Didn't come here to this race last year, and she's been keeping a low profile about today. We're really not sure whether she's gonna commit fully to this race. She's been sandbagging a bit what her expectations are, but for me, she is the form athlete who, if she wants it, it's going to be very hard for someone to stop her. She's really a very good overall up and down runner and seems to be in a great physical condition at the moment.
Well, let's just go through some of the bib numbers just so you can familiarise yourself. That is, of course, is Nermi Lang from Scotland wearing 111. Madalena Freire, the Tour Series leader, 101. We've got Elisa Presser wearing 103. Bukovian is 104. Stenter 105. And then Estelle Roig-Fortin 106. Keep an eye out for her. Ruth Gitonga wearing 113. Certainly a number we expect to see in the
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
This time she really came to our attention, and we're off. The Golden Trail has started, already checking the pace. The person on the left of our screen here with the hat, Hannah Gruber, she's a relatively local runner, a very fast road runner who's been transitioning to track, to trail. So it wouldn't surprise me if she is the person they're nervous about on today's course. She's the big unknown. Now this race starts with a 6K loop of the valley. To give you a sense of how they're feeling right now, you can see it's not too hot, but we are at around 1,800 meters of altitude. at the start line. They're going to go up to a peak of 2,800 meters, so altitude will play a part in today's race.
And already some of them will be thinking of the sprint section. Takes them from, what, 3.5 up to 5K. Slight descent, which is unusual. Loss of something like 50 vertical meters in that time.
And this is one of the challenges of this race. 10 points on offer for the fastest person through the sprint segment. You obviously burn up your glycogen stores very quickly if you're going faster than your tempo pace. And so they have a choice whether to pick up early points, which could actually limit their ability to finish fast, but also could be a nice little mental advantage over their opposition. But right now, if we look at who's on screen, this is Miriam Chepkiriou, one of the Run Together team on athletes who we expected to be up at the front there. And Naomi Lang on the left-hand side of the screen, the Scottish runner, pushing the pace right now. But the fact we've got such a big group together suggests that no one's really going out too hard.
Those with experience from last year, certainly it will help. It'd be interesting to see what tactics Naomi Lang employs, winning last year, but the course was shortened. And
yeah, we saw last year there were very, very heavy storms coming in, and during the morning of the race they decided they had to cut the top. It was far too dangerous, and so the impact of that we thought meant that it was going to be the faster runners who dominated, but because of how hard it was technically to run down that in the wet conditions, that's where Marlon Osser, Naomi Lang, the technical specialists, really streaked away. But we saw with Caroline Kimitai, who was leading with Naomi across the top, it came down to nutrition and also their ability to manage their pace across the race, and she really struggled. Caroline finishing outside of the top 3, not being able to run fast to the finish. So that is a concern for Miriam and Ruth Gitonga today. And it looks, if you look over the left-hand shoulder of Madalena Faria on our screens, that is Ruth Gitonga, an extremely fast runner, happy to be in the pack, letting others decide the pace right now, which I think is a good move from her.
really setting the place at the towards Curie. Faria looked really intense before.
Now, Miriam Chepkiriou, she's one of the younger Run Together runners, and as you can see, happy to lead at the front right now. There is a little bit of a climbing here as we head out across the valley. She will be turning left, a slight downhill, and as soon as she crosses the river, we'll see the start of the sprint segment, a 1.3 kilometer section. They've extended it slightly from last year. And I suspect at that stage, we'll see Madalena and potentially Marlin try and push the pace a little bit more, because they're very strategic in how they're approaching these races, knowing the difference that the segment points seem to be making in the overall totals. On screen to the left here, this is Therese Leboeuf's top 3 at Zegama in the past. A very, very experienced runner from Switzerland. So these conditions, she'll feel like she's running at home here. And you can see now the effect of that injection of pace from Miriam is having on the pack, all being split out across the course now. Now, if you're wondering why we're seeing athletes running in the opposite direction, there's 1,700 runners who are on the course today, and from 11 o'clock last night, they've been going off in waves. There are ultra races happening throughout the course, and so we will see our athletes having runners coming in the opposite direction, but also catching up on runners who've been setting out at 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock this morning. Now we're seeing the group starting to split apart. Miriam still at the front, pushing the pace, but behind her, Madalena Faria, our series champion, one of the favourites for today, and Ruth Gitonga also on her shoulder. So our top three are now pulling away. We do know that Marlene Osser likes to start slowly, and you can see behind her, Naomi Lang is the first person in our chasing pack, last year's winner here.
33-year-old Madalena Fleury looking very comfortable, plenty of physio tape strapped to the back, and hopefully that's not an indication of major problems.
I mean, with Madalena, sometimes it could be because it looks great, and it does. It's a very stylish taping on her back, but I think this is more to do with just trying to feel relaxed for her. As I understand it, she doesn't have any major worries about injuries at the moment. I was talking to her coach, though, yesterday, and her strategy for this half of the race is she's not going to be changing her approach based off the other runners. She's running to heart rate. And so right now, the fact that she's close to the front already shows the condition she's in, because she's really not intending to put quite as much into the first half of this race as she did in Quebec, where she was really looking to try and unsettle Caroline Kimatine and her flow. But we can see now not a big gap really from Miriam. She's not making a big dent on the two runners chasing her, but our top three seem to be pulling away from everyone else.
Naomi Lang still leading the chase group, sitting, what, maybe 45, 50 meters at the most behind the race leader. So many top-class runners and mountain bikers used for the filming of this event. It's one of the harder jobs in the world of production.
And we've got a huge number of runners, cyclists and drones out on the course today to try and capture every single moment they can. And Miriam, if you're wondering, has come from a track background, and she's only 19 years old, but she has some blisteringly fast times over 1,500 meters, 5K and 10K. So it's not a huge surprise to see her up at the front. But I do get nervous when a young athlete is pushing the pace so early in a course that, while it seems short for Golden Trail, if you're coming from track, 24K, it's a long distance when you add in the amount of climbing they're going to be doing, around 1,700 meters across this course. But look at the difference this pace is making. The top three now really putting a gap in between them, and Naomi Lang in fourth place. But this is our turn, coming into our sprint segment shortly. To give you a sense of the difference these points are making, it's 200 points for a win in the race. You then get 3 segments across the course of a race, and if you are the fastest person through each segment, you get 10 points. So that's 30 points you can gain in total as bonus points. But we saw there, that was Naomi Lang, and tucked in behind her We had Hannah Gruber, the European champion, Therese Leboeuf coming through there. So a lot of good runners still within the hunt. Our top 10, the athletes we're expected to see so far. Marlon Oster, though, sat a bit behind, just coming through there. She likes to start slowly. Clearly has decided to let that pace go and to run her own race already.
Yeah, so many features. You've got the flat sects that we've talked about, and we'll be showing plenty of interviews throughout the
I've been
race
following
today.
Madalena for a couple years, seeing her racing in the Golden. I knew she was a very great athlete.
Marty Perez, the Scott
capable
team
of
manager.
doing great performances, like against the best. But still, I think she surpassed really all of our expectations. We had a bit of a plan to help her become the main face of the brand for running and like one of our most important athletes. But I didn't expect her to achieve so in the first year with us. Like, she really won the overall Golden Trail in her first year with Scott. I think there was something about her confidence. She really improved running on the downhills, and it was an incredible first year of Madalena with Scott, and working with her has been a pleasure so far. It's really cool to see, you know, she has, of course, like a very happy flower power, happy flower approach to life and to competition. But then behind that, there's like a really professional approach to the sport. She really takes care of all details. And yeah, it's been incredible to see how she's been evolving also from last year to this year. You know, with race nerves and being mentally ready before competition, I think she's done big progress. And we are seeing this with results also this year. So yeah, really amazing.
I think Scott will be pretty happy with the way things are going. Fleury, of course, leading the women's series at the moment. And she's, what, 34 points clear of Caroline Kimitai going into race 4. Well, let's have a look at the sprint segment for today's race. 1.5K in all, slightly downhill.
Yeah, I mean, this is an exciting start to the race. Just under a mile there that they have a chance to gain 10 points early in the race. The big challenge, though, the big question for them, the faster you run, the higher the rate of glycogen you burn from your muscles. So actually, you're using up your stores that you're going to need later in the race. We have been seeing, though, in previous races, Joycelyn Giroux has been running very tactically, picking up strong points in the sprint section. We saw the same in Canada. Madalena Faria intentionally went for those points just to try and maximize her haul from the race day. And it seems like this is the first race that the athletes have been talking more about it and really giving a lot more thought to their race strategy, because we're seeing with the points that Elisine and Philemon Corriega have scored in the men's that actually Philemon has been outscoring Elisine per race. Even though he's yet to win one in the season, he is currently in pole position in my mind because of his race strategy and tactics. And so we're starting to see the athletes truly comprehend what is going to be the difference between them going into our final with the biggest points haul and therefore the biggest advantage.
Yeah, Kiriago, of course, second in Ledro Trentino, and then out in the Mega Trail in Quebec. So he'll be confident.
But of our top 3 runners, you know, if we think about who came through, we had Ruth Gitonga, Miriam Chepkiriou, and Madalena. Of those 3, only Madalena is really involved in the overall points tactically. So there you can see Madalena now leading our group. Although is that a different athlete ahead now leading, or is that a camera runner?
Well, I was just starting to think it might be Naomi Lang, but we'll just wait for confirmation. Difficult to tell from this angle who is out front. Certainly looks like Madalena Fleury in second place in this group, but it may well be, as you suggest, may well be a camera.
Although the flow of that, I mean, it did look like a Naomi Lang type of gait, but it would surprise me if they've all caught up. So our front of pack, this is Hannah Gruber coming through. That was previously Barbara Bekovian from the Czech Republic. So maybe that sprint section has actually caused the other athletes to concertina together. We're just waiting for confirmation if Naomi Lang is currently leading the race, which would be a surprise for me.
And as someone who's not doing the whole series this year, you wonder whether the bonus points, what value they have to her, and is this a move for the race as a whole? She was brilliant on the downhill sections. It is Naomi Lang leading the way now after a brilliant little bit of downhill, but the main climb is just about to start, and she knows it. And this is going to be fascinating to see what happens over the next kilometre or so.
What a move of confidence. Absolutely incredible to see. And I don't think they'd be expecting it either. But it really shows you the difference the terrain could make in the running. And as we get into this smoother trail now, Ruth and Miriam taking back the lead. But only a few yards, and yet she closed maybe 20 meters over the technical terrain. The second half of our race has got some very varied running, and those are the moments when runners like Naomi and runners like Marlenosa can really eat up any yardage that they are behind at that stage. But this is looking dry now. There's been huge thunderstorms overnight, but you wouldn't guess looking at what's beneath them. And this means the course is very fast indeed. A little bit of an advantage to our less technically gifted runners. They're not going to have to worry quite as much about slipping out, but already they're pulling away with the smoother trail.
Well, is that the positions at kilometre 4, or is that the standings in the sprint section? Wasn't quite clear. Naomi Lang now to be a concerted effort.
And we have on screen now our fifth place runner yet to feature in the Golden Trail that much. This is Barbara Bekovian, one of the young runners from Salomon, Czech runner. She's come fourth in the European Off-Road Championships before, as you can see, flashing up on the screen now. You know, a very quick runner. Don't know too much about her technical abilities, but the fact that she came sixth in the final last year at Ledro, a technical race, you know, clearly has some ability there. But we're back with our leader now, Miriam Chepkiriou, at the front of our race in first. Oh, apologies. In third place. So Madalena taking to the front with Ruth Gitonga on her shoulder. Miriam in third and Naomi Lang in fourth place on the right of our screens. Now after at the 6th kilometer point, that's when the climbing starts. And even though this is quite a short race and not necessarily known for its climbs, if we compare the climbing that happens from the 6th kilometer point, they will be going more climbing than you see in Sierra Zanao with their big climb. Sierra Zanao has 1,200 meter climbs over 6.5K. This has 1,350 meters over 6K. A very sharp climb, reaching a maximum inclination of 38%. 38% climb coming up.
J'ai donné l'info, Guillaume.
Now, Naomi Lang losing another place there. Maybe gone out a little bit too fast. Quite unusual strategy for her to be pushing the pace at the front and then slowly dropping back. Maybe still trying to get a feel for her legs. And this is Hannah Gruber on screen now. The new runner to the series. Only her second year in trail, but first year on the international scene. And on our screen now, one of the next generation athletes from Salomon. We're going to be seeing quite a few new runners in our top 10 today. Salomon have not only brought their international team, but they've brought the next generation of athletes. We've seen Marlon Ossa come through the ranks, Sara Alonso, and Jan Torella, who we expect to feature heavily in the men's race as well, all coming up through the ranks with the Salomon youth team. But back out to the front of our women's race. A surprise for me, Madalena Faria leading the group at the moment. They're going to come through the aid station. You can see they've transferred in front of our finishing stage, and they're now about to start loop 2. This is a 13.5K loop with 1,350 meters of total climbing in elevation. They'd have seen our men lining up, just about to start in a few minutes. The question will be, who fancies it on the climb? From what we've been told, Madalena will be looking at her watch and just running to pace. And we saw last year, Caroline Kimitai and Miriam really pushing the pace at the start of that first climb and suffering later in the race because of it. And on screen there, from just to confirm, that was Axel Janud from the Salomon Next Generation team. I'm going to have to start doing some research on her because she is a new name to me. I just hope she hasn't gone out too fast, because to see her ahead of runners like Marlon Ossa and Naomi Lang at this stage is quite a surprise. But that's the great thing about trail racing. You can turn up and see where you are against the best runners in the world. But our top 3 all happy to be running together right now. We've mentioned that we are at altitude. Won't be feeling too bad for them now. And a bit of a mistake there, Madalena dropping a bottle. And one of the challenges of being at altitude is the rate at which you dehydrate. And so the fact that all 3 of our runners have got bottles in hand, a very good sign that they're thinking about their nutrition from start to finish today. And Naomi Lang there, just hitting the rougher trails, just before they turn left to climb up the 600-meter first climb. For those who are just joining us, we're here at the Pitz Alpine Glacier Trail Race in Austria. 24 kilometers with 1,700 meters of climbing. The women's race has started 15 minutes ago. They're just about to hit the first substantial climb, and our men's race are just about to start. As you can see, it's great conditions, fairly humid. It has been raining overnight, and that will make it harder for them to maintain their pace throughout the course and finish strong. But the race has started with a 6-kilometer loop, fast and flat, and they're now just about to turn left and hit the first steep climb. But this is the head of the race. On the left of our screens at the front is Miriam Chepkiriu, the 19-year-old Kenyan, fairly new to the Golden Trail, has run here last year, so does know the course. Joining us for the first season, Ruth Gitonga on the right, also with team Run Together on AG. And Madeleine Faria, the Romanian leader of last year's series, winner of last year's series, leader of this year's series behind. And Naomi Lang, it looks like she's closed a bit of space there. Naomi in 4th now. And in 5th place, Barbara Bukovyan from the Czech Republic. The first time she's been up in the top 5 during a live broadcast. But this is the first chance we get to see the terrain in the trees. It has been raining overnight, but it looks like it's dried out substantially. Won't matter too much for the climb, but the last third of the descent in previous years has been very hard to run fast on because of the amount of mud and slipping out. It doesn't look like that's going to be a problem today. But instantly, as they start climbing, we can see Madeleine Faria has dropped back from the pace. Our 2 Kenyan athletes really now making the difference on this climb. They've got 600 meters across the next 3K to really build the gap there. Now, one of the concerns today will be that nutrition, taking on enough water. Ruth Gitonga in 2nd place at the moment. If you remember the scenes from our race in Ledro, went out hard, didn't take on enough water, and by the end had completely blown up and crawled across the finish line through dehydration. Completely recovered afterwards, but really showed not only her lack of experience, but her fighting spirit to finish no matter what. So today, that will be at the front of their minds, ensuring that they're taking on enough water. There are 3 aid stations across the course where they can rehydrate. So all of our front athletes, our top 3, running with bottles in hand. But here is a view of our valley and an introduction to our top 10 men. The new names you may not know that well to look out for. I expect Christian Allen, the American runner, to lead out from the start, a very fast track time. Joey Hadorn, the orienteer we saw in China, incredibly gifted technically. I expect him to be coming into the second half of the race. Jan Torella, the young athlete, in the top 10 in Italy, but the European champion. We expect to see good things from him today, but our top 3, no surprises there. Elisina Lazoui, the leader in the series, last year's series champion, on the left of our screen here. He's not had the series he was expecting. He's actually lost 2 races already this year. He might have to run slightly different tactics today to ensure that win. But he'll be looking out for Michael Scioli, the tall athlete in the middle, also a favoured runner. Michael Scioli on here. Attacked him in Italy. Trentino Sky Race was the runner who looked to have the form. And Patrick Cipollino on his shoulder to the left. Former world champion at the VK. A very experienced runner. And this is Jan Torella. Welcome back to the Golden Trail. The young athlete from Spain. very good descender. Seems to be getting better and better with every race. A future champion for sure. And Christian Allen, the Utah runner, leading out here last year, has a tendency to go out a little bit too fast using his track pace. Has he learnt? Will he be holding back for the first half to ensure a faster finish today? But just to remind you, we have a 6K loop of the valley. We expected that to be a very fast start. The segment, the sprint segment worth 10 points is in there. And Ellison has already acknowledged he needs to be changing his tactic and picking up more points. So I think there will be a bit of an attack by our runners. On the right there, Bogdan Damian, who is leading our downhill segments, undefeated so far on the downhill, the Romanian runner. And the Golden Trail race is off here for the second time at the Pitz Alpine Glacier Trail. 24 kilometers with 1,700 meters of climbing. And a lot of our series favorites are here to race hard today. We saw with the women's start, there was a tight group of the athletes for the first kilometer. It wouldn't surprise me if the men's field is torn apart, and already we're seeing two runners head to the front. My expectation is Nash and Kiplimo but we're back with our women's now. Still three runners together. Madalena looks like she might drop off the pace for a bit, but now we're at the steep incline. Her technique really coming to the front. No surprise that our athletes are not running this. As we mentioned earlier, this is up to a 38% incline. If you throw in the fact it's so broken and rocky, you need to be power hiking this. And we can see there Ruth at the front, switching in between hiking and running. If she feels comfortable doing that, that's great. But actually at this stage, the best strategy is to be power hiking if you can, to be using your glutes a little bit more, but also to be getting into a real rhythm here. It's extremely hard to be switching from running to hiking, running to hiking. And being in control of your pace with a power walk is often advantageous. You can hear our camera runner there breathing heavily. We do have some of the world's best orienteering runners with cameras and big packs on their back running. The only people physically able to keep pace with our females at the front of the course here. Now, one of the rules of today's race is that you are not allowed to have poles, no sticks on offer today. Because the trail is so narrow, they've decided that it would be unfair to have sticks out there. But Manuel Innerhofer at the front of our race. One of the two Innerhofer brothers, extremely fast marathon runner, local runner as well. Great to see him pushing the pace at the front. I'd be surprised if he's there by the end. But brilliant to take your place on the stage. He's come to quite a few of the Golden Trail finals, performing well in the National Series. And on the back of him is Michael Scioli, third in Sierras now last year. He was the athlete attacking Ellison across the top in Italy. A potential favorite here today, and the fact that Manuel has pulled him from the rest of our runners means that we're going to have a different battle to what was expected on the start line. So Manuel Innerhofen upsetting the form book already. Great to see. But Madalena Faria now at the front of the women's race. We can see that terrain has changed slightly. This is a smoother, slightly flatter section of our climb. 600 meters they'll be climbing in this first section. And that's allowed her to start running and picking up the pace a little bit. But off the back of Michael Scioli, you can see, even though Manuel Innerhofen has increased the pace, not substantially, a huge group of our runners behind, they'll feel quite comfortable seeing the front of the course in front of them. There's a little bit of climbing here in this first loop. They'll then make a sharp turn to the left, and that is when they hit the sprint segment. But none of our favorites on screen here. This is a kind of the chasing pack. Our top three to the left of screen. Naomi Lang, last year's winner. In 4th place, we believe, on the right of our screens. And just behind her, you could catch a glimpse there of Barbara Bukovian from the Czech Republic. Now, Madalena, coming in today's race, was certainly the form runner and the favourite runner. You can see on her left hand some strapping. She's already been to Sierras and now to Switzerland to recce the course, to get used to running on it, and actually had quite a bad fall in her training. We can't quite see it here, but on her left-hand thigh, a very big bruise, and she's had her right hand in a splint before today. So a little bit of a concern for her. She'll be fine with the uphill, but when we come to those very technical descents, sharp descent off the top and the bottom third, there will be some nerves about falling, because if she falls on that right hand, she could do some serious damage. In fact, apologies, it's her left hand. I was talking to her about it yesterday, her left hand, but that might slow her down and mean that she can't run with her full force and full abandonment. So she will have an awareness that she needs to build a bit more of a lead over Naomi Lang, over Marlin Osser, if she wants to try and maintain that lead, knowing that she can't run flat out on the descents. But to the right of our screen here, the long legs of Jean Torella, our young Spanish runner. We have a huge group of runners still together, actually. Joey Hedorn, I believe, on the left here. And we have new to the series this year from China, the winner of the national series, Yusheng Guan, who was in the pink color there. Now, I'm going to be setting some questions for you for your homework to see who's been following the series for the longest. But my question to you today is, at this stage of the race last year, who was in the lead? Who was in the lead at this stage of the race? I'll tell you at the top when they get to the lake. But you can see now some rougher terrain, and this is very reflective of what the route is like in the bottom third of our race when they go through our downhill segment. Those larger steps making it very hard to flow through, and they're having to resort to power stomping yet again. But in the center of our screens, in the red and white, looks like a blood-stained cloak, that was El Hussein, our series champion. And to the right of our picture now, the head of the race, I believe this is Nashon Kiplimo, the Salomon athlete. Nashon Kiplimo, a very good runner. We saw out in Quebec how fast he is on the flat race, his closing speed. And to the left of him, this looks like Christian Allen to me, the very distinctive haircut. The American track athlete coming to the front of our race. He was leading at this stage last year. As you can see, he's already got a 50K under his belt so far this season. He's been struggling a little bit with form and injuries so far. He's had a bit of an Achilles issue. He said to me that he's been running most races a 5 out of 10, and he's had to have some injections to try and reduce the pain. And now, thankfully, he's only running a 2 out of 10 of pain from his Achilles, but hopefully that's not going to be an issue for him today. But pushing the pace as we expected at the front of our race. He's led out at OCC before. He led out in our finals last year. Not always the best move from him, but it shows that he's feeling good at least today. But we can see the beauty of the valleys we have here. We're in the region of Pitz Alpine, the Valley of Tyrol. It's 4 municipalities: Arsel, Wens, Jersen, and St. Leonard. There's 380 kilometers of hiking trails, 38 mountain huts, 3 mountain railroads, and 15 mountain lakes. Known for its skiing, it's actually a wonderful region to come and visit. I was trying to find out some interesting facts for you yesterday. Apparently it has the highest raft in Europe. We might see on the course today, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But we can see the glacier here. Our athletes will be seeing the glacier, but they won't be running on ice today. It has thawed at the peak. And we're going to be hearing an interview now to find out what our athletes are expecting from today's course, and maybe an insight into what their strategy may be. We're speaking to the captain, the manager of Team Salomon.
Like that flat beat at the end, so the tactics is like, don't burn yourself on the up, take the advantage of that up to feed, to pace yourself, and to do a strong downhill and a strong last lap where you can really lose time if you're not in shape, like if you can't do it, or you can really gain spots if you're feeling well. So yeah, slight differences overall between athletes, but success for us is like all of them having a good day, having a good weekend, like helping each other on the course, and yeah, ending the weekend with a smile, and we're pretty sure there's going to be some podium out there also. But we've seen last year, even with like the Alpine part being shortened, that like technical runners like Malen and Naomi, which are really fast runners on the flat, they can still like, I mean, they finish first and second, so it's just a complete race, and it really depends how it's going to unfold. But it's fun to see like a race where you've got it all steep up hills, steep down hills, and flats. I think, yeah, just the most complete runners. So I wouldn't say like fast runner, because you can lose so much time on the technical bits if not used to that. So I'd say more like a complete trail runner, like a modern trail runner that's fast enough on the flat, but that is super feeling easy on technical parts. So I'd say it favors the Salomon runners.
I was out there earlier interviewing him, trying to get as many answers out of him as I could. I was asking him who his favorite child was out of Marlin and Naomi Lang, both Salomon athletes. He was, of course, not giving anything away there. But it's interesting to hear his views on who this course favors. Last year, because of the storms, they cut the top climb. We thought that meant that it was going to be the faster trail runners, the real speedsters that would have the advantage because of that 6K first loop and the 6K last loop that's very flat. But we saw, as soon as they hit the downhill, Naomi Lang and Marlin Osser absolutely tore apart the field. Today's race is slightly different though. You can see this is the lake, a glacial lake up at around 2,200 meters. From that point, they have a very steep climb up a ski slope. And when we were talking at the press conference with Naomi Lang and with Marlin Osser, we were trying to find out how much that additional climb and descent would change their ability to be able to run the technical downhill flat out. And Naomi said actually for her, it wouldn't make any difference. From the top all the way down, she'd be able to give it full gas. Whereas Marlin said that because it was so steep at the top, she's more likely to take it easy and to hold back for that bottom third. But we expect the gaps between our front runners and our technical descenders to be bigger by the peak and then to close up. But this on screen now is one of the Ecuadorian runners, extremely young. I think she's under 15 years old and has been coming to the Tour for a couple of years now. A very technically gifted runner who in 5 years' time, it wouldn't be surprising me if she's at the front of these races. But we're back with the front of the men's now. Christian Allen pushing the pace in the very distinctive shorts. But I mean, if you've got a haircut like Christian Allen, do you need to be wearing bright orange shorts to be seen? I think you're fairly distinctive already. Significantly though, we're back here with the back of that front pack. Ella Seen, the series champion, Taylor Stack, all at the front. We have seen in other races, Ella Seen happy to sit back a bit, to not lead from the start, but this to me is a sign that he is considering the impact of the sprint segments. He's not been focused on the segments so far this year, and while he's on 600 points, which looks good, given that a win is a 200-point score, 600 out of 3 races isn't particularly good compared to what he could be on. So he's clearly up at the front. The person missing though, Patrick Pinino, the elder statesman, former world champion. We know that he takes 15 to 20 minutes to typically warm up, and so he's the only one of our favorites who isn't in that front group. But look at the pace already. They'll be going sub 3 minute Ks at this stage. Absolutely flying there. The brakes on the bike struggling to manage this pace. Now, if you want to get a sense of what the speeds of our runners are if they were to do track running, not their specialization, nothing they've actually focused on, but El Hassin, he's in the 27 minutes for a 5K. Christian Allen, he's got a 5K time of 13:34. He's run 28:26 for a 10K. Wow, we hope they're okay there. Issues with our bike. You can see how hard it is to keep pace across terrain like this. We've had Olympic mountain biking champions film for us before. That's how good our camera cyclists and runners are, and still struggling. But you can now see a bit of a change in our inclination. It goes up to 38%, and it's making a big difference in the front of our women's race. Christian now sitting back a bit. I suspect this is because of the sprint segment. Christian not as focused on, Christian will be more focused on today's results than he will on the total point scoring. Now they've crossed the river, the men are in that sprint segment, and that's where we're gonna see a little bit of a 1 mile battle between them. But Madalena Faria at the front, some gaps starting to form in our women's race. This looks like Ruth Kitonga to me, but you can get a sense of how steep that is. Look at their body positions, really having to lean in just to be able to run well there. And this is a sprint finish. This is an all-out sprint finish for, wow, wow. This is the first time we've seen the sprint segment becoming a real feature. This is what the course director, the series director, was hoping would happen with these segments. And for the first time, Ella Seen wanting those 10 points. What damage is that going to do to our runners by the end of this race? Michael Cieli and Ella Seen Alazoui fully committing to that sprint segment like never before. And Joey Hadorn, the Swiss orienteer, coming through. He likes to start slowly. Very good technical runner. Confirmation there. How close was that? 3 runners within. I mean, I want to see a photo finish. I don't think they have it. And Bogdan Damian on the right, you can see there. For me, a better tactic. You do not need to finish in first place over the segment. You just need the fastest time. But that has exploded our race. Elisine already. Is this his finishing speed? 5 kilometers in. What a difference. Now, if you're new to Golden Trail, if you haven't seen these runners before, this is not what we are used to. Elisine likes to sit behind. He is the backseat driver who waits until the last few kilometers to make his move. But he's already lost in Broken Arrow. We saw it in the Quebec Trail. He didn't have the closing speed he needed. He was outmaneuvered, he was outthought, and actually, if you look at who he's running against, this is 3 Kenyans against 1 Moroccan, and tactics do come into play. They will be working together, and now that sprint segment has finished, you can see they're already reshuffling the pack and deciding how much they're going to commit for the final kilometer before the true climbing begins. What a race so far! Not what we were expecting, and there will be casualties, believe me. This top 4 will not be running together by the end of our final descent. What a race. And off the back now. I mean, my heart races shooting up, let alone theirs. We can see Christian Allen here. I'm just going to look for confirmation if that is Nash and Kiplimo running there, but for me, a good move to let the front pack pull away. They don't need to be running this kind of pace right now. There's no real advantage to being at the front. There's so much climb coming, but we're going to hear from another athlete to hear what their strategy was going to be before today. I suspect whatever they were thinking, it's already completely changed. The effect of that segment, let's find out.
I am happy I am here. It's first time for me here in Austria. I like it, and I like the morning I go around in the mountain is nice place, nice country, and very excited. Yeah, in reality this year the start season for me is very nice. You have some competition is good, but yeah, you have some 1-2 competition is not good for me, but I learn and I take experience, and in reality for this moment I am good for all, and flat, uphill, downhill. I don't have the problem. I think after Canada I changed my training, I changed a lot of things, and yeah, I will be excited to race.
Our series leader there didn't give too much away, but significantly, this is the first time he's come to this race. But he's already mentioned the fact that Sierras are now next weekend. There's 8 races across our season. 4 of them score towards your points going into the final. And so if we look at who's out there on the course today, Elisine will be running Sierras now next week. I suspect Michael Scioli and Patrick Capinino will be also, but not all of our athletes will be, and that means they can put more into this race. But Madalena Freire, she's finished the first climb, 600 meters in. Looks to be at the front of her race. You can see she's already taking on nutrition. They have had an aid station. And on screen now, Axel Janud, the younger runner. I believe I'd be surprised if she's in second place. We're waiting for confirmation. But you can see the beautiful lake. They have a run of a couple of kilometers before they start the exceptionally steep climb. 675 meter climbing still to go, and now we get a sense of those distances. This is our second. Oh wow, Madalina was not leading. In first place, Ruth Gitonga, incredible. Miriam Chepkiriou in third place. 10 seconds between them. Actually, to me, it looks like bigger gaps than that are already forming. That was the 8-kilometer split before the lake. So that the smoother terrain giving the opportunity for them to really inject a little bit of pace now. If we look at the course still to come, we have a 670 meter climb, a very steep descent. But on the second half of the course, there isn't a huge amount of flat running until they get to the bottom of the mountain. So this is a really good move from Ruth Gitonga, injecting her pace while she can. She knows she's got 5-6K to really make a difference, to build that lead before the steeper climb that, for me, favors the experience of Madalina Fleury. Austria's highest mountain lake. We're looking for the raft, the highest raft in Europe, I am told. I'm yet to experience it with my own eyes, and I can't challenge that fact. If you know of a higher raft, please text me. The question, the task, the challenge is out for you. But one of the 4 drones we've got on this course, and you can see behind Madalina Fleury on her shoulder, Ruth Gitonga.
Careful, please.
Now, if you're wondering about our race leader, she has been doing some 5Ks this year. It's not been her focus. She's running around the 16-minute mark. She's definitely faster than that. We're doing a little bit more research on what her PBs have been. Big change, though, that we've seen in the last few years is previously we would have athletes coming from Kenya who have been very fast road runners, track runners switching across, but now actually we're seeing Kenyan athletes arriving on the scene as trail runners primarily, far more skillful, far more experienced, but actually far more suited to trail. And we can see the chasing group in 4th. There was Naomi Lang, winner last year, and on her shoulder, Axel Janud. So Axel picking up places, overtaking Barbara Bukovian of the Czech Republic, now down to 6th place. But our 2 race leaders here, I'm just wanting confirmation of that, because they had been saying that Miriam Chepkiriou was at the front. Just want to get confirmation. This is definitely Madalina Fleury and Ruth Gitonga on screen now. Mind the horse. How often do you get to say that in a race? Mind the horse. I haven't checked the rule books. I don't believe you are allowed to ride horses in the race, if that is a consideration. That's why we've got Jones, just to check. No one's going bareback today. But Madalina Fleury, she's leading our series. She won with a huge lead in Canada. And the relevance of that is meant that she didn't have to burn herself out too much. So while she has raced quite a lot already, the fact that she could take it easy on the downhills, it was a very smooth one. She'd have been able to protect her legs a bit. But the front of our men's race, a new course leader, Eufantus Njeri, another team run together athlete. But how grouped are they at the front here? All of our top 6 together. We've got 5 on screen, but you can see behind them Christian Allen and even Ezekiel Ruto, the Salomon runner, all together. But look at the size of that backpack. Michael Scioli clearly nervous about conditions based off last year. I wonder if that's with a jacket in it, or if that's more for water. Not the best strategy for a course like this, where there are 3 aid stations. Surprising to see. But if you're wondering about our race leader, not someone we've seen leading the Golden Trail much before, but actually has been the form athlete for Team Run Together so far this season. And our Team Run Together are based in Austria, so they not quite at this altitude, but this will feel like a local race for them. And back with the front of our women's race now. You can see our 2 runners locked together, leaving the glacial lake and starting the climb. We'll hopefully get a shot up. It starts off quite comfortably, but we then head up the ski slope and it's extremely steep. They're going to leave this trail, they'll be running on grass, and towards the top it becomes very, very rocky. Not too hard on the climb, but on the descent, we will see a huge difference in their technique. It wouldn't surprise me if Madalena pulls away over the top half of our descent. But already changing their technique now to power stomping. And the beginning of our climb segment. An insight into quite how steep it is. You hope that these segments are going to be flat out, but it's impossible. They're beginning to hit altitude now. The breathing will be hard. But they're also aware of just how much of the race is left. 670 meters climbing ahead of them. They can see the peak and it just gets steeper and steeper. 32.7% average gradient maximum. 32% maximum.
Sorry.
And our Spanish camera runner, Iru, on the screen to the right. A very fast 10K runner himself. Now, if you're wondering about the rules of today's race, they're on trail at the moment. Quite soon, they will be getting to a narrower track, and they are allowed to run wherever they want to, up and down this section of the course. They don't have to stick to the trail. But when they come to the bottom half, where it becomes more single track, they are not allowed to cut the course. But look at the difference here, the change in technique. Madalena stomping faster than the running of Ruth Gitonga. Walking faster than running. Not only does it seem to be a faster technique, but she'll be using different muscle groups. And this means that she'll be preserving some of her glycogen stores and also just the damage done to the muscles, which means when she comes to be running at the end of the race, should have less damage in her legs. So a double advantage here. This is where the experience that Madalena has really comes into her own. She doesn't have quite as good a tank, dare I say VO2 max potentially, as Ruth Gitonga, but the experience of how to eat up the steeper terrain is with her. And back to the front of our men's. We have a change. Patrick Kipignino, the former world champion, an incredibly good climber, at the front of our race. Quite surprising to see him already up at the front. He does take his time, and the fact he's leading, pushing the pace on the first half of our uphill is a really good sign. If he wants to win this, he knows he's going to have to bury El Hussein at the point of the race that our women are now crossing. But as we look down the trail, our front two really pulling away. Miriam Chepkiriou not in sight, barely in the distance. And they're building huge gaps over the chasing field. Nermi Lang, nowhere to be seen right now. But Madalena Faria leading the series, last year's series champion, looking extremely good and the better descender of our top three athletes. She will have series now. She will have Sierra Zanau in mind. And actually, that shot was deceiving. Nermi Lang and Hannah Gruber off the back of her, starting the very steep climb. Nermi Lang, the strongest descender of our top 5 women. We can see the pink on Madalena's left hand there. That is the bandages from her fall last week. That will also be something she'll be aware of. Having to hold back potentially a little bit on the descent. But for me last year, the downhill of this race was the most exciting footage we had of the whole season. So seeing Nermi Lang run in the dry will be quite an experience. Topping up her nutrition here. The uphill, always a good chance for you to refuel. We've seen a lot of runners over races like UTMB. Tom Evans using the flatter trail as an opportunity to really load up on nutrition, knowing that they are going to make their move on the climb. Madalena taking this opportunity to reload, knowing that as soon as she comes over the top, she's going to have to use her hands for balance and won't be able to take on new nutrition until she gets to the bottom of that descent. But Madalena Faria, the Romanian, pushing the pace right now, looking in control of this race.
C'est toi le 12?
In second place, Ruth Gatonga. New to trail running in 2024. If you wonder what her route is, how she's found herself here.
Mais je suis en ligne.
Team Run Together host their own race in Kenya, the Mont Longonot Trail Challenge. She arrived in November 2024 and won that race outright, securing her place in the team. And she has been the form athlete this year in the Mountain Running World Cup. She's run a 70-22 over 21K, so she's got the fastest half marathon time on our course, I believe. 70 minutes for the half marathon, absolutely rapid. And in the World Championships in September, silver medal in Spain over the classic distance. Finishing behind German Nina Engelhardt. We saw her first Golden Trail race though, she really struggled with pacing, she struggled with nutrition. She was running well the first half of the Ledre Sky Trentino trail, but really suffered with nutrition on that second half. It's a hot day today as well. The altitude though will be making even more of an impact. It's something a lot of our athletes don't necessarily consider or understand. They get close to 2,800 meters at the peak today. At 3,000 meters, you dehydrate 5 times quicker than at sea level. Just think about that. You dehydrate 5 times quicker than at sea level. So if you're coming in today without enough water, by the time you get to the aid station on the other side of this mountain, it will be too late. Our third place runner there, Miriam Chepkiriou, still keeping a rhythm there, running as well.
Exactement, elle relance un peu.
We do find that a lot of the Kenyan runners, they don't like to run no matter how steep it is. I think this needs to change. There comes a gradient where it becomes self-defeating, and I hope that this is the right move for her right now. Something else to consider for our athletes, when you are at altitude, it's far harder for your body to burn fat. Your body needs oxygen, and you're getting far less oxygen. So it means that your body increases the percentage of glycogen that it burns. And so we find runners who are trying to push the pace at this altitude, if they haven't got their nutrition right, and if they haven't got their pace right, they burn out and they hit the wall substantially. Because of the lack of oxygen as well, if you do find yourself in the red, it's very hard to then recover. So if you puff out at altitude, you'll find it's so much longer for you to be able to recover your pace. So experience is vital here. Madalena Faria, though, back into the running. You can see it's slightly smoother at this part of the course. The peak ahead of her, able to get back running. $11K in. It may seem like it's not halfway, but in terms of time, I expect this to be around the halfway mark of our race. The halfway mark. My predictions are the women will be finishing around the 2:20 to 2:25 mark today. And we can see there, Naomi Lang in 4th place on her shoulder. Barbara Bukovian from the Czech Republic. And quite a gap now. 4th and 5th place, pulling away from 6th. We know Marlon Ossa is a very fast closer, very good descender.
4 et 5 sur 6 minutes, j'ai pas de tel.
Are the gaps becoming too large for her to be able to close? Now, one of the other factors to bear in mind with altitude, it is not proportional. So for 1,000 to 2,000 meters, it might not affect you too much, but for every 500 to 700 meters extra, if you're not used to it, you can see a reduction in performance of 5 to 7%, a massive potential drop in performance. Marlon Ossa has been the past month in the Dolomites at altitude, getting used to this. We know that Patrick Camino also very good with altitude. He's won in China before at 4,000 meters. Not all of our athletes, though, have the opportunity to adjust in the same way. We've spoken a little bit about Bogdan Damian, the Romanian athlete, very good on downhill. When he was younger, he actually had a cycling accident that meant that he's lost his spleen, which means that he struggles to adapt to altitude. So Bogdan, with no spleen, doesn't have the opportunity to adapt to races like this. But Naomi here, pulling away a little bit, looking very good. Stomping up these hills. She'll know that as soon as she crosses that peak, the advantage changes. No more significant climbing. And you can see to the left just how rutted and stony the descent is. It slips out beneath you. You need to have confidence and experience to be able to attack these downhills. So it wouldn't surprise me if Naomi Lang is closing the gap on 3rd place very quickly over the top of our peak.
Je risque de caler, mais j'essaye de rester.
You can see the changes there. through the checkpoints. Very much in first place right now. They're just coming up to the peak here. This is the ascent of Grubenkopf and the Mitte Gaskogel peak.
Team 29, je pense que je vais descendre du vélo.
The second highest peak in the region. But we're back to the men. Has he brought himself up a picnic? We don't often see in these shorter races so much kit on their back, but this to me looks like Michael Scioli. Just waiting for confirmation of that. A big difference in the lead, especially if you think he's been running alongside Patrick Kipignino, series leader many times in the past, a very, very good climber. But Michael Scioli pushing the pace, trying to make a break. Let's see if we can see what that's done. Yeah, that looks like Michael Scioli to me. The WMRA, that's the World Mountain Running. Their races tend to be shorter, less technical, less of a descent as well. So the athletes that run well there tend to be very, very good climbers. But we saw out in Ledro, Michael Scioli attacking across the ridge, the athlete taking it to Ellesine. And interestingly enough, Ellesine won't be sure what to do here. He doesn't know Michael Scioli quite as well. He won't feel as confident about how Michael will be able to finish this descent. They did run together all the way down in Trentino, the course. And it was only as they got 5Ks out to the slightly smoother terrain that Ellesine made his break. But look at these gaps now. Our first insight into the damage Michael's pace is doing. He's looking very smooth indeed. Just to remind you, they're running around this glacial lake. This takes them to the base of our climb. 8K in, 24 kilometers in total. 670-meter climb coming up. But this is a good chance for him to push the pace. He is also a majestic climber as well. So he won't be nervous about having to make up speed here. The gaps starting to appear now. Riffelsee, highest mountain lake in Austria. It is cold if you go for a dip. And here we are, Ellesine, the flying camel. Second place at the moment. Clearly making moves. We've seen him start races with a relaxed pace and work through the field. But by this stage, a third of the way in, he's normally in the hunt, sat on the shoulder of the leader. Ah, there we go. We get a sense now of what those distances are. He'll feel very comfortable that the race is in his grasp. 10 meters max. Both of them looking fairly relaxed. No weaknesses yet. But the fact that these two are ahead and Patrick Nashon, our other fast runners, are behind, I suspect these are our top two. It's going to take a huge amount of effort to catch them up this hill. But here we go on the screen, third in sight as well. Our top three men all within sight of each other. The altitude starting to kick. 670 meters of climbing to come that will burn their lungs before the sharp descent off the top of Mittasgosgel Peak. And we're with Elusina Lazoui, the Moroccan runner, our series leader, picking up some nutrition there, I believe, or taking a high five.
Ça va peut-être couper 2 secondes, faut que je fasse le pont.
Over the bridge now. Now, we saw with our ladies as they came through the starting gate, this is soon the beginning of our uphill segment. And we'll be seeing the results of the women's race, the segment uphill challenge, quite soon. They're nearing the top now. And you can see that segment, brutal. Average gradient of 26.9%, almost 2 kilometers. Now this will burn. It takes them, the peak is 2,800 meters. So not only are they having to deal with the ascent, but they're getting less and less oxygen as they go. We saw with the sprint segment how much it meant to them. Our top 5-6 runners, all full gas, trying to claim those points. They're going to do the same thing here. But we're back with our race leader, Madalena Fleury. Change positions. Is this fatigue? Is this the incline? We see her normally with her hands on her legs, using her arms as much as her quads, but now potentially looking tired here. Is this a chink in the armor? Is this a sign of weakness now? The pace slowing right down, but the altitude is really starting to kick. She has been at Sierras and now there's altitude there. She would have been training a little bit. But we can see the difference in her form. Far more upright now. And our top 4 on screen, Naomi Lang, last year's winner on screen. But confirmation there, if we saw the gap between Naomi and Barbara. Barbara clearly closing up, but Ruth Gichonga on screen now. This must be brutally hard. Still running though. The fight she has. Incredibly steep our top 2 ladies. 32.7% incline they're dealing with now at altitude as well. Brutal. But look at the speed of our men at the front of our course. Flowing extremely well. It looks to me as if El Hussein is now closing in on the leader. I suspect he's positioning himself for the uphill segment, wanting to lead out that challenge. And Ruth Gitonga on screen now, looking still fast. This is a good pace given where we are on this course. A big gap now between her and 3rd place, Miriam Chepkiriou in the distance behind. And you can see just how rocky that terrain is. Imagine how hard it's going to be running down that. Trying to ensure your legs don't slip out. Very hard off the top when you're struggling to breathe. And they're closing in on our peak now. Just got to hope that she can keep Madalena in sight, because if Madalena goes over the top, she will be gone with her downhill skills. And we're back now with our race leaders. The 1-2, Michael Scioli at the front, pushing the pace. The Kenyan runner from Team Run Together. Elisina Lazui off the back of him. Now they have started the sprint segment. The segment goes all the way to the top, 1.8 kilometers. It's brutally long for a segment. If you think our sprint segment was only, was it 1.4K? Less than a mile. And yet this altitude and climbing, they're making them do the whole of the top half of our race in a segment. But confirmation there. Patrick Kipinuno in third place. If he wants to be on that podium, he knows he's going to have to push the pace. So I suspect, Patrick, this is his opportunity to try and close in with the lead group. The fact they're working together, though, will be an advantage. If you're going through discomfort with another runner, it's been proven that psychologically you don't feel the pain quite as much. So the fact they're working together will be an advantage over Patrick, who's running by himself. But Michael doing the work here, pushing the pace at the front. Over 500 meters of climbing. We can see, get a sense now of how rocky that terrain is. There is no path over the top. They'll have a little bit of freedom to choose their route. That will help Michael being able to shadow Elisine if he forces him to lead. But Madalena Faria now coming up to the end of this first climb, this last climb, coming through the gates of our segment. 10 points for her. It's looking like a maximum 10 points for her from this climb, unless someone behind has been very tactical. We haven't had it on screen, but just to confirm, that first segment for the women, as she comes through the highest point of the race, 2,800 meters. Ruth still has her in sight just about. Whether she will by the time she crescents, as soon as she summits the downhill speed of Madalena, she may be gone. But confirmation. The women's sprint segment was won by Madalena, 5 seconds behind her, Ruth Gitonga. Miriam Chepkiriou in third, Barbara Bukovian in fourth, and Hannah Grober in fifth for the points. So Madalena already on a maximum of 10 points. Ruth Gitonga will be welcoming those claps. Well done to the supporters for making it to the peak by themselves. Quite a feat for a hike. So as she crosses our peak, well over the halfway point in the race, in time. 12 kilometers done, 12K to go, and our men still locked together. Michael Scioli pushing the pace. Elisine sat behind. What can Michael do on this climb? He is a good descender, but I suspect he won't be able to keep up with Elisine should he decide to make an attack. And Madalena Faria flowing now. Hands out wide to balance, very fast. And a minute difference in that uphill segment. That's a huge advantage. Madalena is the fastest descender of our top three. A minute lead already. That's gonna grow and grow and grow. And Miriam Chepkiriou on screen now in 3rd place, the Run Together athletes. Only 19 years of age. We've not had much chance to see what her descending is like. She's never been close enough to the front of the races previously to get an insight into to how she deals with rougher terrain. You can see the flow there. This is hard. She's having to move her legs left and right. You can't get a rhythm going. It's just too rocky. Having to really focus on every stride. We've talked about how important race nutrition is for gauging your pace, but actually over terrain like this, your brain uses over 1/3 of your glycogen. Your glucose is being burnt just to keep yourself functioning. And so if you get fatigued, if you're bonking, not only does it affect your ability to run, but it affects your ability to process information at these speeds. And we see a lot of people crashing and falling, not just because of physical fatigue, because of mental fatigue. But Ruth looking good here. On the path, the easier section, as they turn left, we got an insight into how it changes, and she'll be off the path having to run over rocks. And that's where I think she'll be slowing down in comparison to Madalena. Confirmation there, 2-minute gap over Miriam on that segment. A massive performance by Madalena.
Non, chute de Magdalena. Chute.
Was she grabbing her left leg there? You can see running on the grass, taking the smoother terrain, using the barrier. Clever. We do sometimes see athletes run with gloves just so they can really grasp things. I think it would be a good move on this course. Some of the turns in the bottom of our trail, being able to grab onto a tree when you need to is very advantageous. But Madalena looking good here, looking very smooth. A little bit more cautious than she tends to run. The fact she has that lead is allows her to have a little bit more caution coming down this terrain, this descent. It's going to take some real stopping now. For me, Naomi Lang is the only person in Malin Ossa who can catch her the way it's looking. But Madalena leading our women's race by a minute now. The smoother terrain. This is some very fast trail that she's coming through. As she dips down to the right, it becomes a little bit rougher. She is still on this first steep descent. And Elisine has made a move. We have never seen this before. Elisine has made a move on the climb. We did wonder how last race's defeat would affect him, and he's decided now is the time to put a gap. We do know Elisine can climb with the best of them. When he was racing against Remy Bonnet, arguably the best climber of all time at the Mont Blanc Marathon 2 years ago, Remy was pushing 2,000 meters per hour in his climbing speed. That's a VK, a vertical kilometer speed of 30 minutes at the end of the Mont Blanc Marathon, and he could not drop Elisine. And we can see here, Elisine now absolutely pushing the pace and creating a very big gap over Michael Scioli for this stage of the race. Elisine absolutely burying himself on this segment. Given how hard the running is, to be picking up 15 meter gap, by the time they come off the top, this is going to be huge. And for Michael to stand a chance of winning this race, he really needs to be an Ellesine slipstream on the downhill, following the path he leads, using him as a guide. But Ellesine clearly focusing on the points right now, trying to create that gap. To get an understanding of potentially why this is happening, the Golden Trail has 8 races before the final. Your 4 best scores count towards the points going into the final. A winner's 200 points, but these 3 segments in every race, there's a maximum of 10 points. If we look at the points that Ellesine has scored so far this season, he has averaged 200 points. He won in Zagama with a score of 212. He won in Ledro with a score of 210. But Salomon Pitz, his closest rival, was second in Québec Mega Trail. And even though he was second, he had 214 points. His second place scored him more points towards the final than Ellesine's wins. His second place in Ledro scored him 210 points, the same as Ellesine's win. So if Salomon could win Sierra Zanal, as he did last season, he will be leading our series. But just for confirmation, first and second place in the men's race. They'll be catching up to the mid-pack of the women fairly soon. But a real surprise here. That segment, the uphill segment that they're racing to our peak, Ellesine has roared through the field, as he likes to say, full gas. He has torn apart the front of our race and is putting significant gaps between him and Michael Scioli. And in our women's race, Madalena coming down, she looks okay. Not a bad fall, but the worry is her left hand. She does have a wrist injury. She fell while she was training on the course of Sierra Zanal last week. She is aware that she needs to take things easy. She did have a splint coming into this. And that is one of the questions. If you run over rocks, you're likely to catch your feet and flip forward. If you run over the grass, you're likely to lose grip and slide back. But you can see she's choosing that wetter, slippier grass, and at least she lands on her bum rather than landing face forward. So hopefully that's still the right technique for her, but it will start to add question marks about how aggressively she can run the downhill. And behind her, she has lining up Naomi Lang and Marlon Osser, 2 of the fastest descenders in the world, who will be licking their lips about the 1,300-meter descent they have ahead of them. But if we look now, Ellesine happy to sit back. It says second place, but he is definitely leading the course right now. Listen to the heavy breathing. Coming over the top of our peak, 12 kilometers into this race. In the women's, we have about 45 minutes left of our women's race. Around 45 minutes left. They've only just crossed the halfway mark in terms of kilometers, but the speed they will be running this downhill, they've only 45 minutes left of our race. Looking across our valley here, glorious scenes in Austria, known for their skiing, but 300 kilometers of trail here. And second place, Michael Scioli here on screen, our second place runner. Michael's come third before. He came third at Sierra Zanal last year in a clean sweep for Team Run Together. He came third in Ledro. in the Trentino Sky Race, but he's never come second in a Golden Trail race before, I don't think. So an incredible performance from him. If I think about the people likely to challenge behind Patrick Camino, a good climber. The fact Michael's ahead already, I think he'll maintain that pace. In terms of technical descenders, the best guy is ahead of him. Elisine Alazoui now out of view. But we have some runners like Bogdan Damian, Joey Hadorn, Taylor Stack, the American runner, a very, very good downhill runner as well. He said in the press conference yesterday that he was going to be pacing himself. He's aware that altitude is a factor. So he, for me, Taylor Stack is the athlete we need to look out for, who can upset these top 3 positions in the second half of our race. Thank you, cameraman, for looking behind, and we get a sense now of those positions, the men and the women flowing through. So Michael Scioli, still Elisine within sight, but third place some distance behind, some huge gaps forming. We'll know as they cross the peak what those splits are as they go through our timing mats. We're having a few issues with the timing of our men's race, the splits. We're hoping for some confirmation soon of where our top 10 men are. But Elisine Alazoui at the front of the pack right now. Patrick Camino. It's saying second place. I don't believe that is true. I want to see confirmation of that. I don't think he'd have caught Michael Scioli yet, but this is third place as a minimum. Third place, Patrick Camino, potentially third place as well. Yeah, there we go, confirmation third. Now, Patrick only flew in from Kenya a few days ago. He's really changed his approach to racing this season. We've seen with the last 2 years of Golden Trail, he has started the season with huge performances in Asia. He's won twice in China, he's won twice in Japan. But we found that by the end of the season, he was struggling to live up to those performances, and it allowed Elisine to come through and take the overall victories. Patrick is a slow starter. He's also getting older, and I think for me it's great that he, of our top 5, he's had the fewest races so far this year. He's really trying to focus on quality, but he has also been at altitude and so is in prime condition coming into this race and should be picking up time on our top 2 as we come to the end of our climb. But yeah, confirmation there. Michael Scioli still in second place. I'm going to text his manager. I want to know what's in that bag. Why does he have so much kit? If you're new to trail, it's quite common for our athletes to have to take out mandatory kits. They did say for today's race, our athletes need a phone on them, they need an emergency blanket, and that is it. Because the conditions are so good, we know that they'll be okay getting off the mountain. We have seen with races with wetter conditions, though, athletes sometimes have to go out with full bivy bags with waterproof seams top and bottoms, but not today. And Michael, closing to me. Closing on Elisine. He's come through the climb now. He's come through that segment. What will Elisine do? Has he been burning his pace to try and win the segment, or was this a move for the win? We'll only know when he starts descending. Potentially, he has just been creating a gap for those 10 points, not to try and seize victory. But Patrick Capinino closing in, looking very strong. Our top three a lot closer than the front of our women's race seems to be. Oh no, I say that. That's quite a gap, given how hard it is to run. Still some gap with Patrick. And we can hear the drones now. 4 drones out on the course today. Our top 3 men, I suspect, will all be running Sierras now next week. Patrick came 2nd last year. Michael Cieli came 3rd. Who's missing, though? Who is not here? Philemon Carriego. He'll be at home watching this. He's won Sierras now twice before. He won it on his 21st birthday. He knows that for him is the race to pick up maximum points. The fact he's resting will be a massive advantage for him to win next week. So tactics coming into play. And we can see our runners together, just trying to get a sense of the gaps that are forming here. Huge gaps appearing now. So Elisine at the front has just pulled away. What a difference the downhill has made. But we're at the front of the race now. Madalena Florea here. She has finished the end of that first steep descent. There's a little bit more running around the mountain. She will have the lake in view fairly soon before she then starts the more technical descent. But she's coming off the back of this first big descent now, flowing extremely well. And Elisine, where's he going? Is he still on the course? Where's he going? Is this an error? From the left of the screen to the right of our screen. Just waiting for confirmation of what he's doing now. And this is why Elisine likes to be in 2nd place normally on a course. When you're at the front, you're having to make all the decisions. You're having to choose the route that you're taking. But we were wondering whether that concerted effort up the hill was for the segment. Look how much they've closed the gap on him though. Only 25 seconds up that climb by the end. I really think he put too much into the first half of the climb. But we can see that second half of climb. We can see over the top though, he really has not held back on this descent. This is a move for the win. This is a move for the win for sure. Elisine has clearly learned over the course of this season that he needed to change his strategy. In Quebec, he was in the front group, and in the second half of the race, the faster pace of runners like Nashon Kiplimo allowed them to catch up with him. And without technical terrain to attack on, he just didn't have the opportunity to really make a decisive move. But he's decided he needs to be leading early. He doesn't want that last lap, the 6 kilometers of smoother running, to be an opportunity for the other athletes to catch him. He's made his move already, and it seems to be working. But we're now looking at our 3rd place runner, I believe. Unless Michael has taken his bag off. This looks like Patrick Capinino for me in 3rd place. Bottle in hand. And we can see just how steep that descent is to the left here. very, very hard to run without trashing your quads. Now, second place in the race right now. They've around 10K to go still left in this course. Around 40 minutes, 45 minutes or so left in the men's race before the finish. Elisine nowhere in sight though, attacking over the top of this climb. Patrick really running quite defensively here. You get a sense from the body positioning. If he was going full gas, he'd be leaning in a little bit more, but there's still a lot of descending to come. This is actually the easier descent. It's steepest, but very smooth, not too many rocks. As they fall off the back of the lake to the right, that's when they hit our downhill segment, and that's where the trail becomes very disjointed. A lot of switchbacks, a lot of big rocks. Very hard to get a rhythm. But Patrick, no one in sight. It looked on that climb like he was closing in on second place, but Michael has clearly seen Elisine take off and decided he needs to try and match his pace. So Patrick Kipignino in second place right now.
Team 32, je lâche le troisième.
And back with our race leader, Madalina Florea, the Romanian runner. Last year's series winner, this year's series leader. She is just about to enter the hard part of the switchbacks. Damien, our Polish cameraman, getting out of the way. But look at how rocky this is. Extremely hard to keep a rhythm. And to confirm, in this race, you are not allowed to cut the switchbacks. You have to run the full length of each turn. She has been up here a few days ago looking at the course, so she will get a sense of what the running's like, but not enough to know exactly what to expect on every turn. But she looks very fast right now. It's going to take some running by Naomi Lang or Marlon Osser to close this gap on Madalina Florea, because there are no breaks on offer here. Now, if you're wondering how do you become a good technical runner, practice makes perfect, but Madalina had to take some shortcuts when she first arrived on the trail, and you can see there, knowing the course is a huge advantage. She had to stop to take that turn. If you were running behind someone on the shoulder, you could save your legs. You don't have to brake quite as aggressively. You can follow the route of the runner ahead, and this is where running in packs is a real advantage. Again, hard to see where that corner is coming from. And Ruth Gitonga, our second place athlete, she's never been in the top 3 at this stage of the race. We finally get a chance to see what her technical running is like. I mean, far more defensive on those turns. To me, she's not looking quite as comfortable here. But still a good technique here. She's dancing a lot. The perfect technique. You want to try and think of being light on your feet, not putting any force through your legs, dancing down, arms wide to help with the balance flowing through it. Now, Madalina, when she first arrived at the Golden Trail, first arrived in trail running, she announced herself at Sierra Zanau, was leading the climb, went out too hard and ended up in 7th. And she came to our finals in Noli knowing that she had the ability but not the experience, and it was quite a technical terrain, quite a technical course. And she said to herself, just don't think about fear, just don't stop running, no brakes, just run, run, run. And she forced herself to override her fear and just accept that it was going to be hard. She might have falls and learn at the sharp end. And if we see our best trail runners, they don't protect themselves from falls. They just accept that it's part of what may happen. When Tove Alexanderson, winner of Zagama, when I asked her about how is it after all the accidents she's had, all the injuries she's had, she still is able to run without fear. For her, she says when she actually has the crashes, she doesn't feel the pain. She's in race mode. They bounce back up and they carry on running. And we've seen with runners like Marlon Osser, with Naomi Lang, they could fall 4, 5, 6 times in a race and they're still the fastest descenders, because it's about the mentality and that focus and lack of fear that makes the difference in committing to this terrain. But Madalena Faria around 20 minutes from the finish right now. Not only is she leading our race, she's picked up maximum points in the segment so far. You can, this is how tricky it is. Even seeing where the course goes, nearly falling. Wow. And those flags represent the beginning of our downhill segment. The end is in sight, but the segment starts. Will she be attacking this or not? But she's looking very good right now. It's a very hard course to know what to do. As I say, you're not allowed to cut the corners. You're not allowed to cut the switchbacks. As we go into the woods, it becomes very deceptive. Some of the turns you can't see coming, and even the smoothness of the mud suggests that the trail is continuing, and it becomes very hard to run quickly, knowing that you're going for a top 5 place in our segment. Now Ruth Katonga on screen. Second in the World Championships last year. It's her first really good performance in Golden Trail.
Yeah.
But Team Run Together have a huge amount of credibility, bringing athletes who can quickly adjust to technical terrain. And even last year, in fact, earlier this year, we saw Ruth Gitonga second at the Transvulcania half, ahead of Joyce Njiru over the 24.8k distance. So this course length will be should be okay for her. Madalena used to some longer races, but right now it's going to take some finish to try and overcome Madalena Faria. She's going down our downhill segment. It's just over 1.9 kilometers with 420 meters of descending. 21% average gradient downhill. And Naomi Lang up into 3rd place. This is big. Naomi Lang on the move. Miriam still holding on there in 4th place, and Barbara Bukovian from the Czech Republic in 5th. We saw Naomi was in second place at this point in the race last year, and her incredibly fast technical descending allowed her to win. Currently positioned for an all-out attack on second place. What does she have within her? British trail running champion, someone who is extremely good and has come into this race knowing that this last third of the descent is her time to make a move. Let's just hope we can get a camera runner back on her, because seeing her in full flow is one of the most beautiful things to see. Here she is, and look at the flow on her, full pace now.
Fais attention à pas être dans le plan par contre.
Good luck, camera runner, and get out the way when she comes to overtake you. But look at the difference there. These corners, we've seen the athletes struggling to know where to stop, where to go, but she's just falling through them. There's not a single break going on. Every stride maintaining that speed. Incredible to see as she starts the descent. She has got 400 meters of descending left to try and get that second and first place. What has she got in her? Now, Ruth Gitonga, a 1:10 half marathon runner. Madalena is looking round because she knows, even though she has the lead, by the time she gets to the bottom of this descent, there are still 6 kilometers of fast running left to go. And Ruth Gitonga has a 1:10 half marathon time on paper. All 3 of our runners concerned about their place, knowing the talent around them. I'm trying to find out as well, where is Marlin Osser? And Barbara Bukovian on screen now, Team Salomon. She was 4th at the European Off-Road Championships. I mean, Barbara came 4th out in Quebec in the last race at the Mega Trail, but this is a far more impressive result for me. It's a more technical route, but also the strength and depth. There are far better runners on the course. She's ahead of Hannah Gruber, European champion. She's ahead of Marlon Osser right now. Like, we talk about the strength of depth of Team Salomon and the fact they brought their next gen. I mean, Madalena likes to celebrate when she sees her friends. I think she finds the interactions with the public like that as almost ways to reflect her energy, just to keep her energy going well. But you can see now she's in the faster running. She's coming to the end of our technical descent. She can hear the bells of the finish. At the finish of this this segment, as she comes to the bottom, she has a right-hand turn. She'll cross a bridge, and then she'll be running our 6K bottom loop in reverse order. There is another aid station where they can refuel if they need to. But Madalena will be feeling fantastic right now. She won't have, I don't think she'll be able to hear the gaps between her and second place. One of the advantages of coming through the cheer stations is you often have your friends, your coaches, your fans able to give you the splits on your second and third, knowing how much of a cushion you have to protect. She won't have that opportunity, I don't think, because it's not clear where second place is.
Ready for Sierra Zinal.
Ready for Sierra Zinal. And this is a consideration for her. She wants to win today, but she wants to win having used as little energy as possible. You see she's looking at her watch. She's looking at her heart rate. The less energy she can expend on this course, the better. She's never won in Sierra Zanao. For me, the most prestigious race in our series. 50 years. That and Zagama are the top two ones they want to win. And so she knows Sierra Zanao is the one she has the best chance for. But only 1 week to recover. At the press conference yesterday, Naomi Lang was saying that actually having a week in between races in some ways easier than having 2 weeks in between. When you only have 1 week to recover, your whole focus is recover, getting some easy runs in, loosening up the legs, and then ensuring you've got a little bit left for the next race. When you have 2 weeks, it's very hard to know what to do. Do you try and keep fitness? Do you try and train? Or are you still in recovery mode? And we've seen with the longer seasons, a lot of athletes struggling to get it right. The confirmation there, the downhill finish, a minute between them, a minute and 20. It's a fair bit, but if Madalena slows her pace, if you've got a 1:10 half marathon runner behind you, if Ruth is feeling good, and she is looking good, look at that. She is absolutely flowing right now. She will be finding out the splits ahead of her. She's got bottle in hand. She will be getting extra nutrition in about a kilometer's time. She has got 6 kilometers left to try and claw in Madalena Florea. 6 kilometers left. And look at that. On the downhill segment, Madalena was losing time. Incredible to see. Is that a tactical mistake? Not only is she giving up points, but she is losing time. Well done, Ruth Gitonga. There were questions about how good she was at technical descending. Full commitment to that downhill. And we're tucked in now behind Michael Scioli, waiting for confirmation of if this is first or second place. But listen to our camera runner.
So now I go here.
Michael Scioli, full attack mode as well. And Naomi Lang. Just as a reminder, that was 4 minutes, the difference between first and third at our last split. Naomi Lang now out of the descent and into the final 6K loop. Still flowing well, third place confirmed. To me, not running quite as fast as Ruth Gitonga, but still a substantial amount of running left to go. This is where nutrition will play a factor. Who is going to reload? Who still can pick up the pace? Because this race is not done yet. Madeleine, you can see now, looking for her team, bringing out her nutrition. 5K left to go. Even if you feel good, it's always worth taking on glycogen. There's something called a glucose rinse, where if you're bonking, even if you're close to the end of a race, swilling round carbohydrates in your mouth signals to your brain that glycogen is coming, and it will release more glycogen stored in your cells, stored in your liver, just to ensure you have maximum energy in your bloodstream all the way to the finish line. Didn't see there, didn't look like she picked up any nutrition. Maybe no needs, maybe she still had some left. Given how focused she is on Sierra Zanao, if I was her, I'd be taking on nutrition, and actually I might even have a different bottle, mixing in some protein in there so you can start your recovery. When you're doing multiple stage races, one of the techniques is taking on a little bit more food, taking in that 3-to-1 carb to protein towards the end of your race, just so your body can start repairing. But look at the pace of Ruth Gitonga. I mean, this looks like she's starting the race, absolutely firing through. That gap has got to be closing. If Madalena is not careful, she needs to maintain the pace. It can be very hard to shift gear if she's already thinking about next week's race. When you allow your muscles to just slow down a bit, it can be so hard to try and pull out a finish speed. But confirmation there, wow. A minute ahead on that descent, a full minute over second place. Confirmation of what we already knew. Naomi Lang, the Salomon athlete, destroying that downhill segment. But also, we weren't sure about Barbara Bakovian's downhill speed. Very good technical descending from her. Second place at the moment in that downhill split. Lying in 5th place. Ooh, I say that. 4th place overall, I believe. Naomi Lang in 3rd. But Madalena's looking good. She's looking comfortable. Oh, I just love for Ruth to come into view behind. You've got to love a sprint finish. And Naomi Lang coming through the finish area. An opportunity to refuel. Winner here last year. She came 3rd, you can see 3rd in the 50k World Champs. That was just off the back of Sara Alonso. And we saw in the World Championships, she was closing incredibly quickly. Tove Alexanderson winning that race, but going into that race, there were question marks about Naomi Lang, known as a very good short distance runner, whether she had adapted to the pace and the nutrition needed to try and run that sort of distance. But it was a big tick at the World Championships, and you can see all 3 of our female runners looking good. You wouldn't say that their gait has changed. None of them look tired, but Ruth looks like she is possessed. She is the one who is attacking this course the most right now. We're hoping to get some splits. 1:28 at the 20k mark. 5k left to go at that last split. What has Ruth got left in the tank? And Elusine, no surprises here. The Flying Camel leading our race. He's looking fairly relaxed. He's not actually used to having to lead on the downhill. I can't recall a race in the Golden Trail where he's been at the front on switchbacks like this. He typically attacks over rough terrain, but not the sharp downhill. It tends to be more of a douche grind coming into the finish where he mounts his attack. But for me, this looks like this is comfortable control mode. Yeah, I mean, he would be running this faster if he needed to. I do wonder, the first half of that climbing segment, he pulled ahead of Michael by a minute and a half, which then came down to 30-45 seconds. I do wonder whether he's put too much into the start of those segments. He's looking comfortable, but at this stage in any of the other races, he would be running faster. But now coming out of the downhill. Provisional overall rankings. I mean, this is misleading because Elusine has run every race so far this year. This is his 4th race in the season. He's doing Sierras and out as well. He loves the Golden Trail. He bleeds gold. but it won't be until Michael comes through that downhill segment that we get a sense of quite how big the difference is. But, oh wow, he's looking good now. This looks very, very comfortable. No fatigue. I've said this before, I don't think there are many runners who look as good as El Hassin, but actually this isn't even looking good for El Hassin. This is a comfortable flow. He'd normally have a wider stride. It doesn't look like he's pushing off with quite the same intensity. His team physio is in the event village. He will get a split as he comes through to know exactly how much of a lead he has. Similar to Madalena, his mind will also be on Sierra Zanau. He's never done well before at Sierra Zanau. He's based in Switzerland. It should be a course that suits him incredibly well. 2/3 of it is uphill. It's very fast. But he's never podiumed. It's been, in fact, 2 years. I think 2 years he's not even finished the course. It's the race he'd love to win more than anything else. It's almost that. It's the credibility that I think he wants. He knows Kilian's won so many times there. Kilian is his team leads, his inspiration. If El Hassin and runners like Remy could win any race, Sierra Zanau's the one they want. But we're back now with Ruth Gitonga. A bit of a climb before she comes off the back for her final descent into the finish. This is looking like hard work now. I'm not surprised. She has been running majestically today. And Nurmi Lang in 3rd place. Also entering the climbing section of our last loop. Bit of a longer, slower climb than on the first loop. They've reversed it this time. But look at her. Her right hand there just drooping a little bit. She's looking a little bit more tired. Did she put too much into that? And how hard is it for our camera runner to keep up with El Hassin? He looked over his shoulder, but that didn't look like a panicked look. That looked like fairly controlled. Clearly couldn't see Michael behind him. We're still waiting for confirmation of the gaps, but I mean, I'm calling this. I think El Hassin has this done and dusted now. It would take an almighty crash or an inspired response from Michael for El Hassin to lose this lead. Michael Scioli in 2nd place on screen. 1st, 2nd for him if he can hold this. He knows that Patrick is a very fast finisher. Patrick also hasn't been racing quite as much this season, so will be finishing fast. And we saw back in last year's final, it was Patrick Cabinino who overtook Michael to claim 2nd place. So he will have that in the back of his mind. Who is going to be the first finisher from Run Together today? And I did have confirmation from Thomas, the team lead. It is a jacket in Michael's backpack. They didn't need to be wearing a jacket today. That was a choice. The team briefing, they did confirm you only needed the blanket. A jacket was if you wanted it. I wonder if that's made much of a difference, the extra heat, the extra weight. But also, when you look around and see no one else is having to wear one, it does frustrate you. It does create a little bit of extra negativity. But Michael looking strong, looking fluid right now. And 2nd place for him will be a great result. His 1st ever 2nd in the Golden Trail. But we're back with our leader of the men's race. Just waiting for some splits to find out how close it is behind him. Now, if you're wondering about the rest of our season, we move next to Sierra Zinao. To me, the daddy of trail racing in Europe, over 50 years in the making. We have had confirmation that Kilian won't be on display, but Philemon Kiriege will be back there trying to defend his crown. In the women's, I hear rumours Nienke Brinkman, former series champion of the Golden Trail, will be returning. 2:22 marathon runner, third in the European Marathon, will be running Sierra Zinao. Tove Alexanderson is also rumoured to be there as well, and Caroline Kimutai, winner last year, should be running as well. Add on top of that Madalena Freire. The men and the women's races are going to be absolutely stacked. We did see Adrian, I can't remember Adrian's surname, the local triathlete, arrive for the first time, announce himself in trail and lead out in the men's up the climb. And I hope we'll have similarly some new runners, some road runners, come and try their hand at taking on the best trail runners in the world. But right now, teammates, second and third place, Michael Scioli, Patrick Kipignino. And I've heard outside some cheers coming from the crowd. Madalena Freire has got to be closing in on the finish right now. Our men expected to finish in the next 10 to 15 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes. But Elisina Lazuri in complete control here. Following the red and white tape we can see in the trees. After Sierra Zinao, the course will be heading to Asia, back in Japan and China, before we then go through to our finals in Korea for the very first time. But Patrick Kipignino, we said that he was a cool, calm, collected runner, absolutely steaming through this last 6K. We hope to see him come to Asia. He's won twice in Japan, twice in China. They love him out there. And what an opportunity as well to get an experience of completely different trails. And we can hear the noise of the finish line in the background. So who do we predict to finish first out of our men and women? It's going to be tight. Substantial gap now between Elisine and second place. Madalena Freire now turned on the way back. She'll start to hear the noise of the finish fairly soon. That finish will be coming into view very soon. Confirmation there of the gaps. They look insurmountable. Ruth Gitonga in second, 2 minutes adrift of Madalena. 2 minutes behind her, Naomi Lang. third place at the moment. We've talked about how good her descending is, but I just think that first half they were running so well, left it too late to try and close that gap. But given the conditions and the extra length, I still think this is a fantastic result for Nurmi Lang today. Nurmi's actually just started a year out. She's a medical student in Glasgow, and 3 years in, she's taken a year to do some exploration, do a little bit more trail running. Intriguingly though, most people who finish their studies become full-time athletes, and they bury themselves in training and just focus purely on their races. But actually Nurmi, it seems she wants to go traveling as much as she does race at the highest level. And she said in the press conference, if she was only training, she thinks she'd burn herself out. So she's managed to find a real balance in her life between medical studies and racing when she can. But Madalena Faria on the descent, town ahead of her, the finish line almost in view. And what a race she's had so far today. We weren't sure how much she was going to commit, how much the injury, the crash she had last week would change her ability to run hard and attack the descents. But as soon as we started climbing the steepness, she knew what she needed to do. Hands on legs, just stumped up that mountain, and really hasn't looked like losing from that the top of that first climb. But the men's a very different race to what we've seen in the past. We've typically seen our front runners stick together, content to just wait until the last 5K to mount an attack. But with the segments forcing the pace, and El has seen 2 losses so far this year. He knew he had to do something different. He feared that the pace of team run together over the last 6K, and mounted his attack up that sharp ascent. But we're back with our series leader, last year series champion. What a turnaround for her. Seventh in the half marathon at the European Athletics Championships in 2016. In 2018, there's a documentary, go and Google it. She found herself collapsed on the track, tendon torn, wondering whether her career was over. But she never gave up. She returned and tried trail running, announcing herself on the scene, leading at Sierra Zanao 4 years ago, winning the Golden Trail Series final in Noli. And since then, there have been big question marks about her form. She can win a race and still lose, but look at her now. Iru, the Spanish cameraman, her friend, she's doing this purely for fun. She knows it's going to be on the TV in the recap. Team Scott, there you go. There's some finish for you. But there have been question marks about Madalena. We know that she hates the pressure. She doesn't like to come into races with expectations placed upon her. And even today, coming into today's race, she has been talking a little bit about Sierra Zanao being the focus. For me, though, that has always been a defense. She prefers to come into these races with a way out, telling herself that it isn't the be-all and end-all if she doesn't win. And actually, look at the difference it's made today. There's been no pressure in her running. She's run to her own plan, And at no point has she looked tired, fatigued.
Again.
Yes.
A runner at her peak, in complete control of her own destiny. And as she comes across the bridge for the final time, what a performance from Madalina Florea, the Transylvanian athlete. She's been spending her pre-season and E10 last year. Her form coming into the season was so good before she then suffered burnout and just had a virus that would re-trigger with stress. This year, again, she returned to E10 and she's just had a solid training block with no worries. Nothing to slow her down. And looking ahead to Sierra Zanau, she's never got it quite right. Caroline Kimitai, last year's winner, so fast. Based on today,
So now it's time to enjoy.
I think I'm changing my opinion. I wouldn't have said Madalina could win Sierra Zanau back to back with today in her legs, but the way she's running right now, she's looked like she's been in complete control. She's run to, ha-ha! These are two English fans who've come all the way out. They've traveled by car, so by bus with their parents, all the way here to race together. Madalina Florea, series champion, series leader, winner of the Pitz Alpine Glacier Trail at a canter. She doesn't look tired at all. What a result for her. And who can stop her this year? That is the question. There are only 3 races left in our series. Another win for Madalina. And she leads our series by a massive amount. What a result. You can see the joy she has. And second place as well, Ruth Gitonga. A really, really good all-round performance. We saw how she started well out in Italy and crawled across the finish line, but she's been flask in hand today, really learning fast what it takes to get your nutrition rate right, to pace all the way through to the finish line. We've seen dominant displays from Team Run Together in the men's for many, many years, but finally it looks like they have an athlete who could deliver at the same level in the women's field as well. Still looking comfortable, flowing so well. The fact that her downhill was up with the other runners, I mean, that to me is probably more of a question mark over her performance today than her ability to pace. It's easier to learn to drink more. It's easy to learn to pace better. But actually, to be able to commit on the downhills with no fear, it takes a change of mentality. It can take years, and some people can never get it, but, you know, a complete athlete on display here today, Ruth Gitonga. Welcome to the Golden Trail. I know you've raced before, Ruth, but welcome to the podium for the very first time. And Nurmi Lang not too far behind now. It was 2 minutes at the last checkpoint. It can be quite deceptive because there are finishes of the other distances also in sight. And 4th place at the moment for the 2nd time in a row. What a performance. Barbara Bukovian from the Czech Republic, Team Salomon. Really pulling out some great back-to-back performances.
On va bientôt passer l'arche d'arrivée.
Coming through to our finish line. Ruth Gitonga, the run together athlete. What a performance from start to finish. She never let up. And Naomi Lang in the behind. Wow, what a finish from her as well. That 2-minute gap just closing. 3rd place for the Scottish runner. 1, 2, 3 on display right now. From start to finish, our top 3, not an ounce of weakness, pacing it to perfection. The altitude didn't affect them. Those steep climbs, they kept the cool head.
3rd place, representing the United Kingdom. 2 hours to 30.
And Naomi there, look at the smiles. She knows this was a different race to last year. I mean, that to me is as good a performance as any she's had.
Big hand of applause for number 2.
Our top 3 runners confirmed. I'm off to get some interviews. Here comes Patrick.
Just at Naomi Lang, sensational performance from her coming out of nowhere in the closing stages. Another, kilometre, and I think she would have been in there with 2nd place. But a great effort to defend her title from last year. And Lang blitzing those last 6K, and of course quick on the downhill section as well. But Madalena Fleurir, the star of the moment. It'd be interesting. Week time, she was constantly having to push it down, stop it right here. But Fleurir looks so smooth, made it look so easy, and she notches up her 2nd successive win of the season. And Sierra Zinal next week. That's in the Swiss canton of Valais, and known as the race of the 5 4,000ers. Not because you go over 5 peaks at 4,000 meters, but because you see 5 4,000-meter peaks on the way. It's going to feel like they have, though. It's all at high altitude. Here we go, 3rd place, Barbara Bukovian. Superb race from her, breakthrough race indeed, as it was for Ruth Gitonga, who, she looked fantastic. And I think a bit more experience, she may well be able to sort things out and challenge Fleurir for the win. But already looking forward to next Saturday and Sierra Zinal. Here comes the number 1 on the men's tour. Already got 2 victories this year. Seen Lazoui, and the Moroccan back where he likes to be, in front, got involved in a bit of a battle with the Kenyans out and ended up finishing down in disappointing performance from him. But today he's got it absolutely right. Changed his tactics. He went for broke on the last of the uphill sections. Not many people can catch him on the downhills, and he's made it look easy. It's anything but he's shown his class again today. 4 races this season. He's got 3 wins and a 4th place. He's clearly ahead in the series standings. Another win in Sierra Zinal, and he can pretty much relax before the finals in Korea. Just a reminder, they'll be in October the 24th for the grand final, as they call it, in Korea, the Muju Trail. Before then, we've got the Myoko Trail in Japan in September the 20th. A week later, the Yinshanling Wall of China event. So 3 still to go before the grand final. Top 4 results counting before the points from the grand final. 200 for a win in a standard race, 300 for a win in the grand final. So it's so important to be in a good position to attack. Camel herder. Come on, the Kenyan team today. Superb performance. Scioli has proved himself today, 3rd in Ledro, the 2nd race of the series, and he's going to take 2nd place today, unless something extraordinary happens in the closing stages. The men's field in the end quite well spread out. We've got used to some absolute nail biters on the Global Trail Series recent, that the 2 series winners from last year both winning their respective races today.
Oh my God.
In Quebec last time out, but got a great 3rd place in the Ledro Sky Race, and the 29-year-old all smiles, and he should be. This is 137, Miriam Chepkirui. And only 19. My goodness, that is a solid performance, and lots of experience. Some of it maybe not what she was. Wow, an emotional finish from her. Well, let's catch up with David, who's in the mix zone with the athletes. We're just waiting for that connection to be made, and we'll follow in 1 or 2 of the other runners out there. 1, 2, 3 is Axel Gnu, a Salomon next generation runner, and they have some stars. Salomon really investing heavily, and great to have a company that big getting behind the trail runners in the world. I think they see a big future. And another strong showing from the Kenyan team today. Patrick Kipingino, another member of the Run Together team that have been very dominant over the years, and normal, of course, for El Azawi. I think will probably claim to be the #1. The team competition is going to be fantastic going all the way through. This is Nashon Kiplimo for Salomon, and he looks remarkably fresh after that effort. lost contact early on. It was a brutal pace, both the men and the women's races up the climb, and positions pretty much established by the time they got to the high point of the course, especially with Alessina Lazzari making a break in the last kilometre before the summit and holding on. An interesting change in tactic. Marie for Romania, second of the Romanians across the line. 1:10, that's Fuentes Alsina, and she's made the top 10 as well. Ruto coming in for Kenya as well. We saw him in the Mega Trail race in Quebec, finished 5th there. A leaderboard that was dominated by the Kenyans. Again, Lazzari, the only one non-Kenyan to get in the top 5 on that occasion, but it was a clean sweep for Kenya. Now let's have a chat with the winner of the women's event, Madalena Fleury. She makes it 2 series victories in succession. Here she is.
Madalena, in your head, where did you win this race today? At what point on the course?
First, I want to say congrats for all the organizer and everyone who has made this race. Then I want to say thank you for my family, Vasile, my coach, all the people who is supporting me all around the journey, because they was bring to me a lot of energy to be able today to enjoy the race. So it's not about when I make the difference. I know I'm in the good path, because for me this year my goal is to find the happiness and the joy, and looks like it's fitting me until now. So today I was really, to say, training for what is coming next weekend.
So what percentage of full gas was today?
Full gas is flower power, not full gas. So yes, this was me. I was able to enjoy. So when you enjoy and you do what you love, it's make it something good.
I think we're doing a short one, aren't we? Thanks, buddy. Mate, you were amazing today.
Well, what a personality she is, and she's shown her style again today. A training race for Sierra Zinal in 8 days' time. Most of us would take 8 weeks to recover from that sort of an effort, but great work, and another win under her belt as she bids to defend her Global Trail Series title from last year. Let's have a chat with Nemi Lang.
Watching your performance today, it looked like you were attacking when you needed to, and you gave everything you could give. Was this a perfect race for you?
It probably wasn't perfect. I don't think I felt amazing on the first half of the up. But then that second up, I think sometimes having a little break in between the big climbs, it just helps you reset a bit. And I think it was really steep and it felt really high, so I think everyone else was suffering as well. And then I kind of I don't know, I think I got into a bit of a groove marching up that, and was kind of on damage control. I was the less of a gap the others have at the top, the more chance I have I can get them on the down. And then I don't know, the down was so much fun. I feel especially there was one bit just you'd done kind of the ski slope stuff and you're on a bit of a ridge, and it just felt like I kind of entered flow state, and then it was really good. I mean, my legs felt really trashed every time I had to run again, but I was definitely I could try and save my legs on the down, but this is where I can gain ground, so I was just go for it, and then try and hang on at the end. And I don't think I realised quite how close I was to second until yeah, like that final, like, I don't know, K and a half, and I was like, oh, I could, like, go, but couldn't quite have enough to get there. But just really happy to be on the podium, and I mean, the others are like so strong today, so yeah, just really pleased.
Mate, it was unbelievable.
So last year's champion settling for the bronze medal today. But what a performance from Naomi Lang. Great to see, again, showing how strong she is on the descents. Gitonga it was, hanging on for second place. Bukivan in 4, as you can see. Axel Giroux of Switzerland in 6. Maybe next week is going to be her opportunity. And now we got a chance to catch up with the men's winner, Elassine El-Azawi of Morocco, who employed very different tactics today. Here he is.
At the start of the uphill segment, you took off. Was this a strategy to win the segment, or did you decide this is when I win the race?
Yeah, first I am very happy I am winner here today. Yeah, after reality after Canada I changed my planning for the training. I changed a lot of things. Today is another strategy. I'm very happy for my performance. Sport just experience. Yeah, very happy. Thank you for all people who support me. Nice race. Very, very happy.
And do you think you won today because of the strategy or because of the physical athletes?
Reality, that is a strategy, and yeah, I tell you, after Canada, I changed a lot of things, and today is another strategy. Very happy for my performance, and I think I am strong today in the downhill, uphill, and it's a great race for me. Yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations, buddy. Epic.
So he's done it again. He's done it again. It'd be interesting to see exactly what those changes were. I think it's worth saying that Quebec had a high percentage of fast, flat running that really suits the Kenyans down to a T. And I think El-Azawi caught short there somewhat. Certainly not a lot of flat in today's race. Although the first 6K, the last 6K, gradual ups and downs. Just like a park run before and after a mountain. Yeah, remarkable that they can get back into the flow, as Naomi Lang put it, after coming down from up at just short of 3,000 meters. Well, there's a certain camaraderie between the athletes that don't really see in many sports. They all know exactly what they've been through, and they all know exactly how much work they have to put in to get into a shape to be able to cope with a race like today's. We've 7 to 8. Sierra Zinal, August the 8th in Switzerland, of course, in the canton of Valais, and remarkable race. It's got a long history.
All the way from Sweden, 15th place, Agnes und Lukas Stefan wird ebenso erwartet.
Notice that Madalena gets the raincoat on before the champagne comes out. Obviously learnt a trick or two over the years, so many times on the podium. And Madalena winning in Quebec in the Mega Trail ahead of Nivea of France, and Kimutaya Kenya in 3rd place out there. And yeah, she'll be looking to try and make it 3 out of 3. 2:10 is Jan Torreira. man who missed a lot of last year. He missed the second half of last season due to I think it was a fall. He had inflammation on his sacrum. Yeah, and that was a really painful, I suspect, from one of the falls on the races. But took a long time to heal and settle down. But he's come back well this year, and he's put in another fine performance today. There are the overall rankings: 666 for Madalena Fleurir, and she's 166 points clear of Bukivian, who had a great race today, moves up into second place. Presser of Italy in 3, Kimitai in 4, Stenta 5. Now remember, from the first races, it is only 4 races that count, and therefore things will change as we approach the grand final in October. Well, we're going to have a quick chat with Seoli, who got runners-up place in the men's event.
Cool. The first time you've finished second. Today, it looked like you are a man with belief, confidence. Is this a sign that first place is soon?
First of all, I really appreciate the results of today. I'm so happy because the competition was good, the climate was good, and everything, I think it was very nice. For my first time to be second place in Golden Series, and I am so happy today for the second place.
Well, and so you get the better of some of the athletes on the race today. Alazawi, but remarkable running. Yeah, his first podium, and it's the second place, and he's got a contagious smile to go with it, so he's going to be a popular figure on the tour in years to come. Well, great atmosphere here in Mandafen, village that hosts the event, and 4 or 5 villages along this valley, and it's the highest valley in Austria, going up to the Pitz Glacier, which is the highest glacier in Austria as well. But like just about all the glaciers in this region, they are shrinking fast. But you cannot really beat this venue scenery. What are we? Just we've got Garmisch and Munich to the north of Pitztal, and then Solden, the Alpine resort in Italy, just to the south, Liechtenstein to the west, Innsbruck to the east. It is in the perfect location.
You were finishing so fast. Do you think you had 5 more K left to try and get first place?
Thank you so much. And for me today race, I was not even expected that I will be on top 3, because it was steep and then steep downhill, and I was not even expecting that I will be finishing at top 3. And the time which I reached the last loop down in the flat, I tried to push so that I can finish in top 3.
So there are your top 5 with Alazawi, today's champion, in the middle, his 3rd victory of the season. It's a really convincing defense of his title from last year. Yeah, no one crosses this line without getting applauded. It's a tough day out. 24 kilometers, 1,700 meters of climbing. And just a warm-up for some for next, which is even long, 31.5K, and then they'll be going up around 2,200 meters, and looking forward to that one. But what a race here, the race.
Golden Trail World Series race here in Rahmen des Salomon Pitz Alpine Glacier Trails 2026. Ja, sehr zur Freude vom DVB-Vorstand Gerhard Heitz, der in den letzten Tagen auch natürlich mehrfach zum Gtws
The essential discussions as to what went right, what went wrong, where you might have been able to improve a little, but I don't think anyone gave short of 100% today. Well, a few shots of this venue. Right? Time it's been a long-standing race, but only part of the Global Trail World Series last year. And of course, Naomi Lang winning for Great Britain last year. Tim Kibet taking the men's win last year ahead of Samuel Kiprotich. Taylor Stack of USA down in third place. Apologies at the moment, we've got a few technical issues. We've just lost the feed. And actually Seoli, who finished second today, finished fourth last year, 58 seconds off the lead. He was a bit further behind Alazoui, who didn't race here last year. His first time in Austria, and he's shown his class yet again. Remarkably, at the start of the season, he won in Zinal, he won the Ledro. They were only 7 days apart. Two brutally hard races, and we'll see whether he can double up again with victory here in the Pitz Alpine Glacier Trail race, followed by Sierra Zinal in 7 days' time. Well, thanks to your company. Thanks to David Hellard for his brilliant coverage all the way through the race. And we'll look forward to doing it all again in a week's time.